Let's begin. So this is the critical part of the Maimon. Listen up, friends. The question just asked now is, yeah, we're here. Looks like you're typing. Okay, Kabbalah Mela. Kabbalah, you can say and listen to the Maimon, but type you can't. The shaila now is that he's answering is, how is it possible that the Adam HaTachton, that's you and I, can make an impression in Adam HaElyon, Atzilus, when there's already a tzir there? You can't reflect something where there's already a form. It's got to be poshet. And yet, that's what happens. The Adam HaTachton ascends, as it were, impressions Adam HaElyon, that's Atzilus. This is the mechanics. Atzilus then impressions the Ein Sof, activating the Esek Sfiras Agnuzas, which till then were just Shemus possibilities. How does this work? The question we just asked now, how does the Adam HaTachton affect Adam HaElyon? How can we impression there when it is a tzir already? So how is that tzir, mekabel our tzir? One form, one image cannot receive another one. The image is there already. Question's clear? And the answer is because what is the chiddush of the Maimon? That the tzir, just one more part, I'm missing the mechanics. This is the paradox here. It starts from below to above, but the overt mechanics are, it's all above to below. Higher level, lower level, lower level, lower level. But the pnimi is the lower levels activate the higher levels. That we need to embrace intellectually this tension. Therefore, the Adam, with that Tzilus ascends, as it were, and pales. This is the Adam HaElyon. Pales the Esesfiris in the Maim Shutim in the Ein Sof. Here comes then it reflects back, and that creates the Adam HaElyon. That creates the Adam HaElyon, his whole validation, because he's us, ultimately, because we are the objective. So what creates us is our ascent, and then the reflection back. Because, as we said, the Esesfiras Haknuzas cannot exist. Their possibilities, their names, they only become realities when called upon. But just like in the Gashmidik emotion, when you look at the water, that water that you then see your face reflects back to you, the reflecting back component, that's Atzilus. So let's get it now. So what's being reflected back? The chiddush of the Maimon is that the image, this is really the core, is this next few statements, that everything revolves around higher and lower. The chiddush is that the image in the mayim is nothing other than the mayim. Why? Because the water doesn't produce it. The water does not produce, that would mean a change in the water. Like dogim shebeyam, the fish. There's no askos, the water just is. And because of its pshitus and its purity, it can be mekabel images. So the image that's in the water, that is expressive of the pshitus. How come there's an image here? What's the image doing in the water? That itself is the expression of the pshitus of the mayim. I'm changing, not doing it, just being me. God being himself, there's room in him for us. That's his greatness. Not only there's room, that's all he wants. So now, finish that statement and that the chiddush. And in this chiddush, or this appreciation, everything rests. Namely, that the image in the mayim is mamish, still the pshitus of the Ein Sof. Hence, when that's reflected back to Atzilus, creating Atzilus, what's the pneumius here? What's being reflected back? Image per se, it's the image in the mayim, and that's the pshitus of the mayim. So the pneumius, Atzilus is pshitus. And since the pneumius Atzilus is pshitus, that's why our Vedic impression there. Because notwithstanding its overt identity of having Esesviris Agluyas, Bepnimius, its Pshitos trace it all back, because it's the reflection of Esesviris Agnusis in the Mayim Pshutim, and that's the Pshitos of the Mayim. There's nothing else there. It's unchanged, pure Mayim, Pshitos of the Ein Sof, where God can invite us to be a part of Him, and He is unchanged completely. There's no effort there. It's just pure truth, it's pure desire. So again, with all of these words we just said, how did we answer the question now? This is what he's answering now in Ois, the end of this Ois, in this paragraph. How can we make it seer? Adam Atachtana, that's you and I. How are we able to make it seer in Adam Elim, which is Atzilos, when that's already a seer? How can we impression there? To unpack the question. Atzilus is a beautiful tzir, as good as our Avodah is. It's incomparable. It's incomparable. How does it make an impression there? It should preclude us. But the mechanics are one tzir precludes another tzir. And obviously, if the tzir is precluding is of far inferior quality. Just to take the moshel further, maybe if the new tzir was going to touch up and add or enhance, maybe you could argue they could be added to the first tzir, but if it's inferior, it's excluded. How does our avodah affect it? The answer is that the pnimius of Eses Vidas Datzilus is the pshitas of Ein Sof, and we traced it back just minutes ago in the whole, at least mechanically. And that answers the sequence in the pasuk, which you're going to address now again. Not again, concluding the Ois and Ois 58. By the number 58. That's what we continue. Apizeh Yeshloimer. What we have. Nice for brothers to share. I'll take that away. There's my money again. No, wasn't there? Besho'oh over here. Just unpack this in Oisius for ourselves. But again, the test is the McGill student, the Ponyevich Talmud. So, okay, mechanics here are mind blowing. What does all this mean? In simple language, it means Eibishter is saying, you are affecting me on all my levels of expression, which they are all me. And we're understanding this in Seichel, notwithstanding Eses Vidas and how it works. We're getting a tremendous hasbara in the Kavona Ha'Elyona and how it works in all of its nuance and irony. All rooted in Atzmos, because this Ave for a Dir B'Tachtonim, which is you and I. That's the foundation of it all. And hence, all of this emerges. All the paradox. There's an alien that precedes the Tachtan, it's hiding the Tachtan. But Bepnimis, the Tachtan activates the alien, and there only is an alien because of the Tachtan. And who is the Tachtan at the end? Not Atzilus. You and me, the Avodah. We are the foundation of it all. And we are impressioning and touching the Eibishter on every level of our Avodah and every level of Ishtalshalus. It's all him. It's all the Pshitas of Ein Sof. It's all Eibishter. That's it. But what we're getting here, friends, I didn't appreciate it in these terms. Explained this way, that the Eses Vidas at the most sublime level, Eses Vidas Agnuzas, and Eses Vidas Agluyas, they're only there. This is the mechanic, because of our Avodah. They mean nothing to God. They're possibilities. They're not spheres. They're nothing until there's an avodah which summons him and activates as a spheres agnuzas and produces atzilus and all the glory of ishtalshalus. The whole glory of God's divine revelation is only triggered and because of, and that's the pnimius of avodah v'yid. And this Maimon takes us through all these steps in such a profound way. Tremendous revelation, this Maimon. This is my every Maimon is Har Sinai, but this is Shavuos Mamish. This is Har Sinai Shebar Sinai. If you read the accounts of the diaries of those who were there by the Shavuos morning, you see what they write there. One famous diary, I think, that Tavshachav Gimel. Now, this is concluding now. But the question is answering the question now that he asked in the beginning of the Maimer, by number 58 in the text. The second paragraph, almost finished. The question was the Seder and the Pasuk, we didn't understand. So that ostensibly we're going from a more obvious thing to a less obvious thing. We're starting off with the pshitas of us affecting in the pshitas of Ein Sof, and then you talk about us and Atzilus, the gulf between us, between Atzilus even, and Ein Sof is infinitely greater than the gulf between us and Atzilus. I mean, it's talking about Atzilus and Ein Sof. The ponim that ascends in Ein Sof, making SS Agnuzis, the mechanics are that's Atzilus. That's a much bigger chiddush than Leva Adam La Adam Adam Atachtim Tatzilus. The answer is it's even a bigger chiddush. It's even a bigger chiddush Leva Adam La Adam because there's already a tzir there. How are we impressioning it? And the answer is the first part of the pasuk, because the pnimius of Atzilus is the pshitas of the mayim. Kamayim ponim apolim, just like the essence of the sagluyas that are reflected in that mayim pshutim, which create essence of the sagnuzas. It's nothing other than the pshitas of the mayim. The mayim didn't change. That's the whole mile of mayim. It's still pure water, and there's nothing else. And that's now the next unspoken step. And that's reflected back, creating or validating Atzilus, which means Atzilus is a reflection of the Esesviris Hagnusis in the Mayim. And what's that? In the end, the Pshitas of the Mayim. So Atzilus is also Pashut. And therefore we impression there. That's why Kin Leva Adam La Adam. Because the premise of Atzilus is Pshitas. And what all these fancy words means is that every expression of Ishtalshalis is pure Eibishter. He's saying, you are affecting me, and it's all because of you. This is a lot of rethinking, friends. Each one in your own head, in your own language, in your own dreams.
Is this similar?
Oh,
what,
fine.
yeah. Is this similar to what we say that the beginning, the Eibishter created the world Chesed Chinam, and now it's it only can come about through Avodah.
Right, because it is the overt Seder. First comes Esesviras Agnuzis, and then comes Esesviras Agluyas, and then comes then we emerge at the end on day 6 of creation. Avodah Yidden. So on Seder Azmanim, it's all the other way. That's Mitzad Chesed Chinam, setting it all up. But it's all for what? It's what all validates is that the Eibishter Ola b'machshava, the Tainig is going to have from Yidden, and therefore he set it all up that should work that way. So the Pnimius that drove it all is B'chiras HaAtzmos in our Avodah, and what validates it, L'Peil, what's quote unquote waiting for, is our Avodah. And that then creates the validity of Atzilus and the validity of Esesviras Agnuzis. We affirm it, as it were, because we're the reason that he did this all in anticipation of our Avodah. Set it all up, but to make it real and true and validate, that's our Avodah. It's mind blowing. Okay, let's plow ahead. Yeah, number 50. Everybody has the place. Moishe, if you don't mind, there's a minus number there. You go through it a bit. There's a few other things. I'm pretty sure there's one mime at least left. If not, you have it on your phone. I'll give you my phone. Have a look. There's the left hand. Yeah, go through them there. Now, in light of what we just explained, the kamayim upon the bottom will come tam or beer. Not only is there a big chiddush in Leva Adam La Adam because there's a tzir already there, but it's also an explanation on why Leva Adam La Adam. How is it that we're able to make an impression in Atzilus where it's already impression? It's a likus, Esesviris, Maya, little Avodah Chesed. First, there's no room for me there. Push it the room in India, not room in Pale. There's a tzir. Perfect. It's perfect. Don't mess it up. Don't add. You're going to patchke. Our avodah it's in that tzil. It says patchke means you're ruining it with nonsensical scribbling. With you, my little chesed, my little gvura. As beautiful as it is, incomparable to chesed vatzilis and gvura vatzilis. So of course, how are we impressioning there? The answer is because that's the pshitos of Ein Sof, and God's waiting for me there, and it's all there because this ave, and it's pnimius poshut, meaning to say, God unchanged, touch me. That's the pnimius of Atzilus also, because it's merely the reflection of Asasivus Agnuzis. That's where it all starts. In the text of the Maimer. Gam tam, because Yeshloim the Kamaim, Panim Lapanim, Gam tam will beat Al Kain Leva Adam La Adam. The first part of the pasuk explains why Leva Adam La Adam. The Inyan Amaim Panim Lapanim, who what's Maim Panim Panim? He's summarizing and concluding it for us, spelling it out. Shaponim Atachtoinim Andirim Mechutz Lambai. The external face, that's a Sfiris Hagluyas. We explained before, they're one with Esferis Agnosis. Why? Because it's reflected back to the person. That's Esferis Agnosis are reflected. That's what he sees now. So he is now seeing. He's the Adam Atachton. What's he seeing? What's he privy to? What's he seeing? That's Esferis Agnosis. That's Esferis Agnosis. So one with the Pshitas Amayim. So Zeratam, I leave all them to the Pnimis of Atzilus is the Pshitas of the Mayim. That's what Atzilus is reflecting. Atzilus is reflecting the Pshitas of the Mayim. That's Agluyas. The Pshitas of the Mayim that contain Atzilus Agnuzas. So Be'etzem, Atzilus is also Pashat, as it were. God saying, it's all what you. Because the Adam Elyon Atzilus bepnimis is pshitas v'eritzav. Which is again, which means that God is saying, this whole thing I did from beginning to end, the way I've manifested myself and so on, it's all just potential, just waiting for you to call me this way. And that I take you within me in my depth, and every expression of me is me. Atzilus is the pshitos, and itself is the pshitos, and you are there. Well, let's continue. Let's go ahead further. Yeah. Spelling it out even further. It's not just touching the Pshitas of it itself, which is the Abish's highest revelation. He's going to say, now, what's that, this whole thing? Pshitas Atzmus. So it's touching me in Atzmus Mamash. Why? What caused all this? That all divine revelation should be precipitated by our avodah. Why? The source of the validation of the whole avodah of the Tachten, is in Atmos. Which is higher than the overt level of the pure Ein Sof, higher than Adam Kadmon before the will was articulated. Before the will was articulated, like this is the project, there's the Bchiras Atzmos, that's the foundation of it all. It's not an articulated will. It's an atmistic desire. And that Adam Kadmon is where the will articulates that. So this lies at the core of everything. Yeshloima, therefore. The Neisiv was in addition to what we said, in addition to what we just said now, concluded the previous ice with it. Through our Avodah, we revealed the Pnimis of Adam Elyon. Atzilus, which is what? Shochadim apshidus doirin sof. Commission b'chinas mayim, that Atzilus itself is be'emes pshitos, because all it is a reflection of that is v'sagnuzis, and that's pshitos, that's doirin sof. In brackets. So again, Shuchadim Apshid is in Tzal Kameishu Bepchinas Mayim. What's mayim? Mayim is a level that can receive a tzir. That's the pshitas of oil itself that can receive. Dugmas mayim kipshutim, just like water. Shagam lefnei shemstaklim behem. Even before there's any image there. They are starch. They can receive a face. They are the other matachten. So through our avodah nimshach gam gilui atmas erin sav shalom ma'ila gam me'ayushim hutat atzmai. Since we said the whole cause of all this, that's of why the all amshachar should be through other matachn is b'chiras atzmos. So we invoke therefore atzmos mamish when we do our avodah. We're not only being embraced and impressioning the pshitas ha'or, but mamish atzmos mamish. That's somewhat clear. Yes? Needs more, but we'll continue. He's going to answer now the questions raised at the beginning of the end of the first ice. What are the questions there? Someone look at it and tell me the questions. I think even ice base. Second paragraph of Is Aleph. A whole lot of questions. And we need to kind of appreciate. At the end of the first paragraph, he made a statement explaining Moshe Rabbeinu's response at two levels to his response. There's two in Yonim. The Mitzrayim Yeradetem is an answer for Torah B'chalal. And then he says what's written in there, the individual pratim. So you didn't go to Mitzrayim and you can't even relate to the individual commandments. That's the Yetzer Hara. Because you don't have a Yetzer Hara. Now the question was then, help me friends, they asked what Baruchni is. So what's he answering? They don't want Torah in a malach. They want all these things where the Baruchni is. Second question. He said, and concluded, you have a Yetzer Hara.
Restricted to that development.
He should have said more. Yeah. Mitzvahs done bagashmias. He has to zero in. In other words, he could have answered, okay, so give us the mitzvahs that don't have to do with the Yetzer Hara. This only answers the Yetzer Hara ones. What about the other ones? Add stronger. You're not shaykh to all the mitzvahs. So already answered that. There's two in Yonim. Yeah, look at the next paragraph. Two in Yonim. One, why did Torah come down here? The Damshocha is only Begashmius. And two, this pales a beer than Nefesh Bahamis. Oh, these are the two things I was thinking of. And that's what he tells them. Do you have a Yetzer Hara? First he says, do you do Malacha? And then he says, do you have a Yetzer Hara? If the Torah remains with you, both things not accomplished. You don't do Malacha, so therefore you can't do Begashmius. And you don't have an Nefesh Bahamis, you have to be Memavada. Yeah. Then he went on to say, Beis, that the Bir Nefesh Bahamis to Matan Torah, what's the connection? It's Achana, that's why you have Surah before, and that's how you Zeicha. And then the second thing is, no, that's Yetzias Mitzrayim as Achana, Bir Nefesh Bahamis. And then through Matan Torah, there's a new level of Yetzias Mitzrayim. And Matan Torah is a whole new level of Bir Nefesh Bahamis. So the question was, since Anochi is Husvat Musay, So we're saying that through the giving of the Torah, with the question, how is it through Mivara Nefesh Bahamis fixing this behemoth? That's Mamshech Anochi. That was the general question. And then there's another question, end of Vayis Gimel. What were the questions end of Vayis Gimel? Have a look, friends. It comes out that when are they Tmimis? So if the Bechol Ma'itcha isn't critical, Hachana to Matan Torah, why is it only when it's Tmimis? That's Bechol Ma'itcha, right? He explained Bechol Ma'itcha is a higher avodah. That's a Tmimis dik avodah. That's only in the year when it comes out where Matzai Shabbos is the first day Yontif. Shleimus. So Aim is saying Tmimus when it's Bechol Ma'itcha. But surely you need that avodah every year, not just as a Shleimus. And further he asked at the end of his Gimel, Adrab, that's the Ikar Avodah. Since we Mamshech Anochi, surely the Ikar Avodah would have to be the Avodah B'chol Ma'itcha. And yet, I would think that Ikar Avodah is being mislabish in the Nefesh Bahamis. Has to be Islapshus. Not so much. Tmimus is a cherry on the cake, it's shleimus. But the avodah is being mislabish in the Nefesh Bahamis. And not Mesidas Nefesh, but Birur Nefesh Bahamis. Not B'chol Ma'itcha. And that's Mamshech Anochi. You would think Dafka Avodah of Ma'itcha Mamshech Anochi. That's overall the questions. And if we got exactly right, but that's overall the questions. Now let's continue. Should look at it properly. But anyway. Ois Yud. So now that we've come down to the bottom line is that our avodah Adam Atachten triggers as it validates Atzilus. What is Atzilus? It's a reflection of Esesvidas Agnosis, and therefore it's Pshitus, and therefore we are touching the Pshitus of Ein Sof, and not only that, he just added Mamish Atzmus. But the fulcrum of it all is the Pnimius, in the end of the day, our Avodah. Therefore, what is it? It's our Avodah. What's that? Refining ourselves. Key detail. Hagluyas. This that the 10 Sfiris of Atzilus, the manifested ones. Bichitzonis externally. They are bichitzonis k'medovan nivdol. Bichitzonis, they look like something that produced by the level above it and separate. K'medovan nivdol shenis av mesasfiras agnuzes. So why is it that it appears bichitzonis? So we look at ishtalshos externally without understanding the kavanah pnimis of our own, who's really the mover and shaker behind it all, which is us. But as we look at Atzilus, it's a Dava Nivdal from Esesves Agnosis, and there's a huge divide between them. What's that divide? It's a parsa, the parsa, the curtain, literally, the Tzimtzum. And Esesves Agnosis, Esesves Agluyas. It's a different world. Esesves Agnosis is the world of Ein Sof, and Esesves Agluyas is the hardcore already definition. So there's a big parsa, big Tzimtzum between the Ein Sof and Atzilus. That's the way God sets it up. Now comes our avodah. So what are we doing? The whole Maimis explained is that through our avodah we justified all. We're megal that it's all Ein Sof. We're megal even deep. It's all you. So by refining ourselves, we are refining that divide that created two realities: divine and creation, or divine and compromised revelation, uncompromised revelation, compromised revelation, uncompromised is Ein Sof, compromise is Atzilus Estes Sfiras Hagluyos. That's the parson between. By refining ourselves, we affect the dissolvement of that parsa. So it's got to be the essence, our essence Sfiras, our Keiches HaNefesh. That's inside. Through refining ourselves, we're refining that division between that which is above Atzilus, which is essence Sfiras Hagluyos, Atzilus Sfiras Hagluyos. So we dissolve that. We dissolve that divide. What is this magic? What is this? Because what's the whole point? The whole point of Ishtalshalos and everything is because of you. So when you refine yourself, when you open up yourself to me, you reveal that all is me. And that's a Sfiras Hagluyos and not something else. That's a Sfiras Hagluyos. It's all me. We remove that barrier. By you removing your barrier to me, by you reaching out to me, you remove all the barriers of Ishtalshalos, because they're only there to produce the tacht in you. And you overcome that, so you reveal that all of Ishtalshalos is me. There's no further, there's no closer, it's all me. This is what we're learning in Tanya now. These days in Tanya, that the Tzimtzum, Akel HaGodel HaGiber, the Tzimtzum is just as much him as Godel is. But what reveals that is our Avodah. That's what it means to dissolve it. Nothing disappears. It means in Megala the Kavanah Pnimius of it all. That it's all me, but you have to reveal that. Then now let's get the flow of the words of the Maimon. By days, Nirgash begiloi b'eshes v'des Atzilos. So Yid's avodah reveals in a conscious way in Atzilos. Shem, what is it all? It's all Eibishter purely. Shem agilu d'eshes. It's all the Eibishter. What's God got to do with 10 descriptions? Gewaltige Geschrieben. Answer, because since he created us with 10 faculties, and he wants a relationship with us, therefore he reveals himself in these 10 ways. And who wants? Atzmos wants a relationship with us this way. So these 10 ways he reveals himself, that's Atzmos, it's everything, it's all him. Because they're only there because he wants a relationship with us that have 10 Keiches HaNefesh. We're the Tacht. So this Tachten that's you and I makes this impression, as it were, on Atzmos, as if to say, that's God revealing himself in these 10 ways. Why? Because this Yidel has these 10 Keiches, and I want to be part of his life, and him within me, and therefore I do too. Hello? I got 10 Keiches as well, because of you. Overtly set it up well before, but anticipating the whole Avodah that will validate the whole project, the whole thing. So Megala, this is a tremendous thing. That here we have Gvul, it's descriptive. No, it's pure Elikus Mamish. So where do the descriptions come from? And why are they there? Because he made a Yid with 10 faculties, and he wants a relationship with this Yid, because this Yid is mushish in his essence, and he wants that essence to express itself in every aspect of this Yid's life, and there's 10 components there. So that's why God has it too, because that's what he wants. His relationship with the Jew there. And he wants that in the deepest Pchiras Atzmos, God's decision. So those 10 attributes don't define him, they're him. What causes it all is the Yid and his desire for a relationship with the Jew. And the Yid Dafka Lamata with 10 Koiches and the Nefesh HaBahamis and the Yetzer Hara, and that's where he's driving at now. Therefore, the whole bitter of Sfiras HaOmer, that's the whole thing. That answers all the questions at the beginning of the Maimon. Let's finish till the sentence. So our Avodah affects the revelation of this profound truth. The 10 spirits of Atzilus, what is it? It's all the Eibishter, it's Pshita. It's not that the Eibush is be'etzem mitzuyer. He's mitzuyer because this form is because he has his desire for a relationship with us. It doesn't compromise him, and yet it's there. The person looks back at the water. He's seeing is his face. So Atzilus is what's looking back and seeing his face reflected in the Mayim. Then he's going to add not just the Mayim, Atzmus, because we dissolve means to say we remove this distance. Tzimtzum creates distance and compromise. No, that's only from the external view. There's closer, there's further, and it's all him. Our avodah reveals that it's all him. That's what it means to dissolve the parsa, dissolve the sense of separation, to dissolve the sense of compromise. It's all him in all of his uncompromised truth manifested in these 10 ways, because that's what we have. That's why he has it. And he wants this relationship at the deepest part of the Eibishter. So that's expressed in these 10 spheres. Agluyas and Agnuzas and the Holy Shtarshalos. Okay, Be'ez Hashem, continue tomorrow, conclude the mind bit.